the headquarters of Ramsey Solutions, this is the EntreLeadership podcast, where I take calls from leaders like you about what it takes to win at any stage of business and leadership. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host, with over 30 years of experience leading in the trenches right alongside you. If you want to submit a question, you can do that at EntreLeadership.com/ask. Leave me a voicemail message. Our team will get back with you and make you a caller if you want to do that at 844-944-1070. That's 844-944-1070. Mike is with us in Cincinnati, Ohio. Hey, Mike.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Dave.
Sure, man. What's up?
Hey, my wife and I, we run a commercial audio-visual business. We've been at it for 4 years. Our 2024 revenues were $2.1 million, and we have 10 full-time employees, including ourselves.
Good for you. Well done.
Thank you very much. So our question is, everybody in our business, you know, all our competition and people who do like businesses have their technicians, which we have 4 of them, running around in company trucks. So what we do is we put our technicians drive their own vehicles, and then they get on the clock after 30 minutes on the road. So they get some extra time, you know, as they're driving to their locations. But we just hired a guy, and one of the big sticking points was, hey, you guys don't do company vehicles. What's up with that? So we just need some guidance from you.
Okay. The first comment that pops into my head before anything else is someone that I'm hiring to be a tech does not set my business policy. Okay, that's
absolutely.
He's like, well, everybody else does, which is a really good reason to not do anything. Right. So let's just start there, being a contrarian. Now, but then let's just think about the business aspect of this. Okay, so what is it costing you, or is it are your people? How are you reimbursing them for the wear and tear on their car and the fuel on their car?
We are not directly reimbursing them for that. Just say, for instance,
you're just giving them 30 minutes on the clock every day.
I
guess it's about an hour because it's before and after, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. So they get 1 hour's wage almost every day.
So what is that?
That ends up being, let's just say, $25 a day, $125 a week, a little bit less than $5,000 a year.
Okay, all right, and that they're supposed to cover their fuel and the loss in value on their car for the extra miles they're putting on it for $5,000 a year.
That is correct.
It's probably costing them more than that.
Okay.
Do we have any idea how many miles?
Wow.
No, you never tracked it.
No. Yeah,
because that's the actual thing. If it's 2 miles a day, that's one thing. If it's 100 miles a day, it's another thing, right?
Yeah.
Because let's think about it. If I'm using my car and I'm putting extra miles on it, and the miles are substantial, it is causing the value of the car to go down. Agreed?
That is correct.
If it's just the equivalent of having driven it to work and it's not much miles at all, then it's a break even. Then they're actually putting money in their pocket if 5,000 buys enough gas to do the deal, which it should. So if they're not running many miles, it might be okay. If they're running a lot of miles, you're probably costing the employee money.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
And then based on that, I'm going to look at it, and I'm either going to increase what I'm paying them, and then I've got to compare that. So let's say right now you're $5,000 a year out of pocket on this, and let's say you doubled that and you were $10,000 a year out of pocket. Or you buy a used van to put their gear in for $20,000. In 5 years, it's worth $5,000 from the miles you put on it, and you got a company sign on the side of it, and you've got repairs and mileage on it, and you've got gas going into it. Is that going to cost you more than $10,000 a year? Probably not much more than that. That's probably about what it is. So you could kind of run the numbers out and say, okay, if we bought a van and we run it this, and you kind of take some educated guesses at the actual miles, and you say, all right, we're going to buy a used van. We're going to a nice one, but used, and we're going to put a company logo on the side of it like the competitors do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've got a rolling billboard. That's helpful, but not really going to make you much money. But then, okay, but it's $10,000 out of pocket. Now the employee is not being inconvenienced. Now the employee might like to be inconvenienced if they're getting more money in than it's costing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you got to figure out, are you really costing them money? You got to do a little bit more analysis than you and I did here on the phone. But
Yep.
I kind of think if they're doing, I mean, you're in Cincinnati, Ohio, so they're pretty well all over the greater Cincinnati area, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, I kind of think you're costing them money.
Okay.
I mean,
What
I don't
about
know.
liability?
I'm sorry?
What about liability? I know you're not a lawyer, but
No, thank God. And see, you and I are going to like each other yet. But anyway, I don't think you're liable. They're using their car; it's their liability, their insurance and their liability. There's been some stuff pop up in the old days, like if people are doing Uber or they're delivering Domino's Pizza, some of their personal insurance policies won't cover them while doing that.
yeah.
And so if they were doing company business, or if they were doing commercial activity with a normal personal policy, not a business policy, some of those insurance companies have denied claims if you're delivering pizza or doing Uber and had a wreck because you're making money. You're doing a commercial endeavor and you don't have a commercial insurance policy. So there's been some of that happen out there. I've seen some case studies I've read on that kind of stuff. I've not heard of it being widespread in a long time, but I have heard about that. So obviously, if you put your truck on the road, yeah, you're liable. But your LLC that owns your company probably would own the truck. So that keeps your personal assets sheltered, which is why you have an LLC on your company. But I don't know about liability with the employees driving their own. I'm more concerned that the guy mentioning it coming in, he doesn't set policy. We said that. But he might be doing a little math and going, okay, I took this job. I got a raise, but I'm also going to lose a little money over here, but I still wanted the job anyway. And he kind of did the analysis that you and I just did, possibly. And so I don't want it to be costing you talent. And I kind of like your tools, all the tool costs you have being in your truck. Because tools, they grow legs, as you know. And they might grow more legs if they were in someone's personal vehicle than if they were in my truck. So that's a consideration as well. What's the tool budget on these things? And does that change if you shift to company vans? So I don't know. It doesn't sound like it's egregious either way, but I think I would do, since you're asking about it, I think I'd get down in the weeds a little bit. Let's do a little bit of actual math and try to estimate what we're really costing the employee. If they're driving a $20,000 car and they put an extra 10,000 miles a year on the car, what does that devalue the car? What's their gas bill on that? What's their oil change on that? Throw a few dollars in there for some extra repairs that they wouldn't have without the extra miles, and then let's see if that's $5,000. I got a feeling it's more than that. So I got a feeling they're not making money on this. They're probably losing money on it. Sometimes people driving Uber, by the way, are losing money while they're driving Uber because they're taking a $52,000 car and running miles up on it, and they hadn't thought about what they're doing to the value of that car while they give somebody a $37.46 ride each. Ugh. This is the Entree Podcast. What does the future hold for business? Ask 9 experts, you'll get 10 different answers. Economic growth or a recession. Business taxes will go up or down. AI will help us work or replace us all. But there's no such thing as a crystal ball. That's why more than 40,000 businesses have future-proofed themselves with NetSuite by Oracle, the #1 cloud enterprise resource planning system. Ramsey Solutions uses NetSuite, and you should too. Whether your company's earning millions or even hundreds of millions, NetSuite helps you respond to immediate challenges and seize your biggest opportunities. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth for the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. NetSuite's real-time insights and forecasting help you see into the future with actionable data. And when you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you spend less time looking backward and more time focusing on what's next. And speaking of what's next, download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Ramsey. It's free at netsuite.com/Ramsey. Hey, business owners, today is the last day to grab more than $350 in bonuses when you pre-order, because the last day of pre-order, for the new book, Build a Business You Love. In this book, we teach you how to master the 5 stages of business. Business is hard, and we're going to give you the clear path to work through the 5 stages and the 6 drivers that'll help you move through the 5 stages. This is kind of your baby steps for small businesses. Build a Business You Love. It's the essential guide to help you grow yourself, lead your team. Once the book launches to the public tomorrow, April 15th, the extra bonuses, the extra audiobooks and ebooks, the lesson on hiring and firing, that $350 worth of goodies is going to go away. So right this second, sit down and order the book at RamseySolutions.com, or you can go to EntreLeadership.com/pre-order. Chris is in Huntsville. Hey, Chris, welcome to the Entre Podcast.
What's shaking, Dave? How you doing, man?
Pushing it through, brother. How can we help?
Well, I'm a general manager at a HVAC service company. We currently have 17 employees, and we did $4.3 million last year.
Wow.
And I wanted to know, what is the typical process for buying into or becoming a partner of the company that I currently manage but don't own?
Well, I mean, there's a bazillion ways to do it. There's a lot of reasons not to do it. I often say the only ship that won't sail is a partnership. I will tell you, managing and leading and teaching small business folks for the last 20 years, the number of small business partnerships that survive a decade is, I can count them on one hand. They just don't happen for a lot of different reasons. A bazillion different reasons, but the only exception to that are like medical. A bunch of docs do a partnership. That's a standard thing. It's a different type of deal, or a bunch of lawyers do a thing. But it's situations like you're in. The problem, Chris, is unless you buy or get somehow 51% ownership, you have put money into something you have absolutely no control over.
Right.
Because if you have 26%, we call that a minority interest. The other person that owns the other thing can do whatever they want, and you just have to accept it.
Mm-hmm.
So they could, not work much, run the thing into the dirt, borrow a bunch of money, buy a huge piece of equipment that as the general manager is a bad idea, but they want to buy it anyway. And all of that affects profitability. It all affects the value of what you now own. And if you paid money to be a minority partner and you don't have a vote, and all of a sudden that money is worth nothing because they screw up the deal, they screw up running the business, and people do that pretty regularly. So a minority partnership is a very, very dangerous investment because you can't get out of it. There's nobody to sell it to. Nobody wants it. And the other party could choose to misbehave. Or let me tell you the other thing that happens. They could die. And now you work with their spouse. And the spouse chooses to do the old boy you did the deal with was fine, but he's married to a crazy woman. And she comes in and decides she's going to run the thing in the dirt. I've seen that like a bunch of times, or vice versa. The gal you did the deal with she was solid, and her husband's a doofus, and she dies, and he comes in and takes it over. Or they go through a divorce. Now they both own 26%, and you own 26%. And now they're fighting all the time in there, and you can't run the business because these idiots are in there. And you get into all that kind of stuff. Can you tell I've seen it before?
I can. And it's really clear. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to dissuade you from wanting to do it. So is the owner offering you this?
Yes, he has, and he's kind of left an open table discussion, and I really love working with this guy. I've worked with him for it's almost 14 years now, and he's
where
really
does this lead 10 years from now? Do you end up owning the whole thing later?
No, he has made it clear that he would never give up like a majority ownership.
Yeah, so you're going to be a minority position no matter what you do.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the reason for you buying into this is to participate in profits mainly.
Right. Yep. That's true. And he actually offered me something this year in lieu of like me buying in or being given shares or earning shares. He's offered me a profit sharing program where I would get essentially the benefits of ownership without buying into the company.
That's the one I want. I want that one.
That's okay.
Yeah. He just starts paying you off the bottom line as if you're a partner. So my operating board that operates Ramsey, I move them into that role, and that functions like, we call it, it's like a law firm, like you made partner. And if I make you an operating board member, you are now paid a percentage of profits of Ramsey Solutions off of the same bottom line that I get paid off of. You don't pay anything for that option or that right. You're not a legal partner, but you are paid a percentage of what this place makes as your compensation. And as a matter of fact, with our operating board, I'm probably not the case in your thing, and it probably shouldn't be in your thing, but with our operating board, it's the only money they make. They don't have a salary. The only money they make is whatever our profits are that month. We have a percentage each person gets, and a percentage I get, and we just divvy up the profits from the closing of the books the month before, and that's how they get paid. And so they treat this place like an owner, which is what he's trying to create here. He wants you to be vested. He wants you to be bought in. Wants you to be very concerned about expenses and revenue, which is exactly what I want with those operating board members. And they not only run their area, but they're looking at the whole place like a partner would, because they want the whole place to make money, because that's where they get paid. And I love that model. And if he's offering you that, I think that's a deal for you.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded like a kind of a sweetheart thing to me, but again, I'm really ignorant in this arena.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I think it's a great deal. And my guess is he's probably offering you your salary plus a small percentage of profits to participate off that bottom line. And so all this is a raise, and it's him saying, I value you being my general manager. You're my right-hand guy. You and me are doing this together, and so I'm going to treat you like you're a partner, but you don't have to pay for it. And if we break up, it's not messy.
It's funny. He almost said that verbatim.
Good.
No joke.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I think this is a good guy. He's not the one I worry about. It's when things go sideways and you end up having to deal with somebody else that I get worried. And you're not. But see, if one of my operating board members leaves, they don't get anything. They don't own anything. They just quit. They quit their job.
Right.
And that's the same with you here. So if you decide you wanted to go out on your own, or you wanted to go work for somebody else, or he fires you for misbehavior of some kind, you don't have to untangle the ownership. So it's really nice. It's really clean. And Chris, that's what you should do. That's the direction you should go right there. I'd sit back down with him and say, I get what you're trying to do. I want to be emotionally invested in this as if I was an owner. You pay me something off the bottom line to make me smile, and I will make you smile by leaning into this as if you and I are actual legal partners, even though we're not, but I'm still sharing off the bottom line. I love that. You get to eat what you kill. It's a good thing. This is the Entre Podcast. This is the EntreLeadership Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Ramsey. Thanks for being with us. If you're looking for theory, you're in the wrong place. This is stuff I do every day. I run a business with about 1,100 team members, about $300 million in revenue, and I grew it from a card table in my living room in the last 30 plus years. So, I mean, our team here is incredible. We have an incredible leadership team. We deal with the same hiring and firing stuff you guys deal with. We deal with the same enemies that come at us like you do. We deal with the same scrappy, I got to make something happen every day attitude that you guys do. This is not a professor who's never made payroll. I made payroll last Friday, baby. So this is how this works. We're here to help you understand that. This is practical, hands-on stuff. That's what the EntreLeadership podcast is. If you want to discuss leadership theory, you need to go somewhere else because I can't help you with that. I can help you with that, but I don't want to. It's not what I do. So the phone number, if you want to participate, is 844-944-1070. 844-944-1070. Jenna is in Atlanta. Hi, Jenna. Welcome to the Entre Podcast.
Hi, Dave. I own a crane repair company. We have about 7 employees, and we're bringing in a little under $1 million a year. However, we've been struggling with cash flow because we have around $200,000 in vendor debt. What would be the best way to attack this while keeping the business running?
Train repair, as in locomotives?
No, like construction cranes.
Oh, crane.
Crane, yes.
I'm a little deaf. I'm sorry. Okay. Crane repair. Okay, but people aren't paying you on time. You said you have a cash flow problem. Why?
It's going through the winter months and everything. It's definitely slowed down, and
that's different than somebody not paying you on time.
Correct.
That's business is down.
Yes, and it's business is down, and then we've branched off and started doing business for the government, and their net terms are a little bit, long.
What's long? Tell me how long.
45 days.
Okay. That's not too bad.
Typically with us, we are due upon receipt.
Yeah, but I mean, if you get your money 45 days later and you paid your vendor for that job within that 45 days, they're not pissed.
Correct. And this is also, the vendor debt that I have is from 2023. When my master technician, he had a accident and fell from a crane. So that, hit the business really hard. And
why does that create, that's a horrible thing, but why does that create vendor debt? I don't understand.
Because of all of the vendor bills that I had, that I was on net 30 terms with them, I have not been able to, I wasn't able to pay those vendors back in a timely manner. And now I am.
Okay, so you have one technician, and so all revenue stopped?
I mean, pretty close to it, yes. I mean, we went from making $60,000 to $80,000 a month to about 15 to 20.
Okay, because this one guy was your cash cow and got hurt.
Yes, I mean, because we only have 2 technicians that actually go out and work.
And that's still the case?
That is still the case. Okay,
and but this $200,000 is old debt.
It is old debt, correct.
If you used a vendor service today, you would pay them within 30 or 45 days, right?
We pay them immediately now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, not on the government jobs because you don't have the money.
Correct. That is true.
So within 45 days on the government jobs and immediately otherwise.
Correct.
Okay. So you don't really have a cash flow problem. You have an old debt that's hovering from an accident that happened and cut cash flow down temporarily 2 years ago.
Okay. Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. I'm trying to make sure I got a full picture here. Okay. So are you still using any of the vendors that you owe $200K to?
A couple of them, yes.
Okay. Okay. I think I'm going to take the 200,000 and put it into two different buckets.
Okay.
Bucket one is vendors I still work with. Bucket two is vendors I don't work with anymore.
Okay.
For whatever reason. The ones I don't work with anymore, what portion of the 200,000 would you say that is?
I would say that's probably a good $60,000 worth.
Okay. So 140 you're still working with, 60's old debt that you don't have a relationship with much anymore.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I'm going to handle them differently because I need to keep doing business with the 140. I don't have to with the 60. Agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. So with the 60, how many different bills are there? How are those all, is it six $10,000 bills or are they all $500 bills? What's that look like?
I've got one at 28,000, another one at 26,000.
Oh, so two of them are most of it.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I like that. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, do you have $10,000?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to call one of the $26,000, $28,000 guys and go, guys, it's been 2 years. We're still trying to recover. That guy fell off that crane. It threw everything off. You know the story. I don't have the money to pay you right now, and I'm trying to clear out from under a total of $200,000. You're 26 of it. Tell them the truth, okay?
Yeah.
And if I'm on the other side of that, if you're on the other side of that and you're hearing this and you go, I haven't gotten my money in 2 years, and this lady's backed into a corner here, and she's calling me and being honest and telling me. This is what I'm thinking if somebody calls me with this. Isn't what you would think?
Yes, it would be.
Yeah, and I want you to offer him $10,000 to settle that 28.
Okay.
Would you take $10,000 to make this go away? If you can, I can do that today. I can't do the 28 today, but if you want to settle it for $10,000, I can do that right now, and you and I will call it a day. And I'm really sorry. I hate that this happened this way. And if they go, screw you, I want my 28, you say, okay, I understand. It's going to be a little while before I can get back to you on that. I'm going to have to take my $10,000 over to the other guy, and I'm going to make the same phone call to him.
Right. Okay.
And just let them sit if they don't take the deal. But if they take the deal and you can clean up the 60 for 20, 2 10s, right. I'm doing that. And now I got it all the way down to 140. Now the second, does that make sense? You know what to do there, right?
Yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Now get it in writing.
Okay.
That they're willing to accept $10,000. It can be an email. It doesn't have to be anything super formal. But, hey, just to close the conversation is, yes, I'll do that. Great. Here's my email address if you didn't already have it. I want you to send me an email that says that, and I'll have our accountant wire the money over to you. This says that you will accept $10,000 as settlement in full on this debt and that I don't owe you anything when I send you $10,000. If you send me an email that says that, I'll send you $10,000 by wire this afternoon from our accountant. Okay? Now you keep that file, you keep that email, print it out, keep a hard copy in case digital fails you, and you keep the digital file as well forever in case somebody over at that other place forgets the deal.
Right.
Okay. And now we got the 60 cleared if we can pull that off. It might take a couple phone calls. It might be a little gyration. They might have to vent and tell you how ugly you are or something, but that's okay. It's okay. We'll just have the conversation, and then we're going to try to do a deal. Now, the 140... how many different vendors are there?
There's I'd say at least 10.
Okay. All right.
They're all little ones.
And so they're all $10,000?
Correct.
Okay. All right. That's good. And you're continuing to do business with every one of those?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. All I'm going to do there is every time I do something with them right now, I'm going to add 25% to it to be applied to the bill.
Okay.
And so if you get a new bill for $10,000 from them on a current thing that you did last week, I'm going to pay $10,000 and I'm also going to send them another $2,500. I'm making that number up. It could be 10%, it could be 25%, it could be 35%. Right. I don't care. But add something to it, 2 separate checks. Check 1 is for our current deal that I owe you today, and check 2 is to the past deal.
Okay.
Now, again, I'm trying to walk a mile in the other guy's moccasins because if I think about how business ethics tells me how I want to be treated if I switch sides.
Right.
Treat other people like you'd want to be treated, right? The golden rule
Exactly.
Jesus said, okay? So if I'm on the other side of this and I've got $15,000 out with you, but you're still doing business with me, and I start seeing a check come in ever so often towards that, I'm going to have a ton of patience.
Okay. Yeah.
But if I see nothing for 2 years, I'm going to start wondering about Jenna. I'm thinking I might need to call her and work something out. And I'd rather Jenna just
Right.
start sending me some money. Because you're going to pay those guys 100 cents on the dollar. There's no deal
Right.
here, but we're just going to pay them a little bit at a time, not all at once.
Okay.
Because you don't have 140 laying around out of $1 million, I'm sure.
No. I've actually even thought about did I need to do like a HELOC loan on the house?
Nope. Vendor debt's better than HELOC debt.
Okay.
Because if you get in trouble, you can always call them up and do the same thing with them and try to give them pennies on the dollar. But I hate to do that on an existing, ongoing relationship, don't you?
Exactly. That's been my biggest thing is I purchased those parts. I've used those parts. I made money off those parts.
Yep.
They are due this money.
Yeah, well, everybody's due the money and the whole thing. Nobody ripped you off. It was just you had a bad situation, and so now we're trying to clear it up.
Right.
So I've got people that owe me money from 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago. If they call me up and offer me anything, I'd take it.
Makes sense.
You would too. It's old. It's found money because I don't think it's coming.
Exactly.
And that's bucket one for you. Bucket two is you're just going to start plinking at it, and they're going to be smiling because Jenna's trying.
Okay.
And I
that
think
definitely makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, and so I think it's probably going to, you clear up the $60,000 with two $10,000 checks. Let's hope we do that, within 3 or 4 months. And then you think, okay, I got 140. I'm going to plink at it. That's probably 2 years it takes to clear that.
Okay.
That's 70 a year in addition to the other business you're doing. I think you can handle that.
Okay.
But at least we're doing something. We're moving that way. Everybody's patient, and everybody gets paid eventually. And eventually they go, well, it took her a while, but she made me whole.
Right.
And that's where you want to be reputation-wise. You want to have done the right thing. And if they call you and say, hey, thanks for this, we appreciate it, you say, I'm going to keep doing this. If you'd rather do some kind of deal and give me a discount, I'll try to scratch up the cash and knock the whole thing out if you give me a discount. I'd offer them that. But I wouldn't push that on the ongoing relationship bucket. I would the one where there's no ongoing relationship, I'm going to push the discount and try to get that deal done. So, hey, good question. I love where your heart is. I love that you're fighting and scrapping your way through this. You're the kind of people that give people jobs in America. You're the backbone of this country. You're a hero. I appreciate you calling in. This is the Entre Podcast. Hey, you can always submit your questions here at EntreLeadership.com/ask. Call the phone number and we'll work it out for you to be on the show. You can do that too at 844-944-1070. Dustin is with us in San Antonio, Texas. Hey, Dustin, welcome to the Entre Podcast.
Hey, Dave, how are you today, sir?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
Hey, man, right now I'm currently in the process of taking over our oil field service company for my dad. We've been in business for 25 years or so. Revenue is down to about $100,000 a month, roughly about $1 million a year. I have about 12 employees that I'm keeping currently. We're in a high stress environment where we're 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, where we're running services. And my dilemma is the workforce and how to hire, the right type of people that can do that type of work without, right now running into insurance costs and a lot of safety issues, and we're having to work around, and doesn't seem to be a lot of blue collar hands out there these days. So I'm trying to scale up and take over this company from old, 20-year-old ways and bring it into, modern times. And I just figured I'd reach out to y'all and see if I could get some advice.
Okay. So we're solving for hiring people to do the job. How can I best serve you?
What I am is I'm changing over right now. The main dilemma I have is I'm leading the company. Like, it's been handed over to me without any of the paperwork and all the corporate. We're sub S and we're, all that stuff has to be changed over for me to have any real control over the company.
When is that going to happen?
That's the thing. My dad is 74, and
how old are you?
I am 44.
Okay. So he has said that's what's occurring. Is he working day to day in the business anymore?
No, he hasn't since COVID. Since before COVID is whenever we changed over. It was such a downfall. We had a decision, and I decided to take the company and pick it back up and run with it.
Okay, so why is the paperwork not done?
Probably familiar, family. There's wives, stepmothers, had brothers.
Do they own stock?
No, nobody does. My dad is 100% owner.
So why is your dad not signed the paperwork over to you? Everybody else is telling him not to?
No.
So what's the stepbrothers and mothers and all those people got to do with it?
He, relinquishing. I know he trusts that. I guess in a sense, it's that's a good question. It's no, there really isn't a.
Yeah, I think you go to coffee with him this week.
I drink coffee with him every morning.
Good. Dad, I love you.
Yeah.
And I think what you built here is incredible. I am losing patience with the paperwork. We need it to be done this month.
Yeah.
If you're going to turn this over to me, and you said you are, and you've given me all the responsibility, I need the paperwork done and the corporate and the checking account and all that put into my name this month.
Yeah, I mean, all that, I'm able to sign on the accounts and I'm operating the company.
He needs to put it in your name this month, Dustin.
Yes, sir. That's what everybody's told me before I end up in a bad situation.
Yeah, he's going to die and you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, exactly. That's
everybody dies, and if you don't have this handed over before everybody dies, you're going to be in a mess. And all it is he has this one last little thing of he doesn't want to relinquish the power. He has enjoyed running the business, and he has enjoyed owning the business in general, and he's going to kill it. And he's going to do harm to his own son who he loves, and he's going to kill the business that he loves by not doing business well, and he needs to turn this over now.
Yeah, before it's too late.
Yeah, and you don't need to, summer is too late. Now.
I agree.
Okay, so that's the first thing. Now, the paperwork is now in your name. Now, what's the next thing we need to work on? You need to work on hiring, because blue collar, there's a shortage of people that want to work that dadgum hard.
Right. I mean, we work tough and we're dirty, and there's not a lot of. I mean, it's hard work.
What's a guy doing this kind of work make when they work for you?
My top pay is $28 an hour with an average of 60 to 100 hours a week.
Is that enough?
I would, because of it ebbs and flows, I would like it to be more of a salary, but it's not. It really isn't. Those guys deserve to make way a lot more.
Well, I mean, is that enough to attract people?
Yes.
To a hard job that you work 60 hours a week in the dirt. I don't know if that's enough to attract people to do that, is it?
Yeah, certain types, and I'm in a rural area in South Texas. So it's not,
I don't know the answer. I'm asking. I'm not.
I've got my eye out on the right types, but for the most part, it's the ups and downs of the industry we're in that doesn't attract people because of the turnover. Every 6 months seems like, or every 5 years, I would say, the oil field is going through a downturn, and people lose it, and then you got to rehire back and retrain from green, and then what I run into is my most veteran people. They have so much, control and knowledge, I guess you'd say, that you end up wanting to turn over more than and it ends up affecting profits. And I guess that's overall where I'm at, is my salaries are too high compared to what I'm able to charge, and the profit margins where they used to be 30-40% are now 5 to 10% if we can squeeze them out.
Yeah, but does that change if things heat back up in the oil field? No pun intended.
I think that's why I'm calling, is because I anticipate it to start heating back up.
I mean,
now.
if Trump says drill, baby, drill, and they actually do, does that not affect you?
I'm hoping it does in volume. Now they all still the pay rate is about $200 an hour is what I'm running into, and I need it to be about $300 or $350. And I have a customer base that I'm afraid to raise pricing on because I have my bread and butter, and that's an issue I'm running into too, is being able to price accordingly to the hands that I need to hire.
How many customers do you have in the customer base?
I'm on probably 1,000 master service agreements, but there's like 50 rigs, 50 oil companies, I would say, operate in our area, in our immediate work area. Okay. And what I'm trying to do is expand into like West Texas.
But I mean, how many do you have?
Roughly out of the 50, I'm probably doing 20% of the companies that are out there. So
10.
Say there's 10 Yeah, exactly. I'm probably working consistently for about 10 companies. Yes.
Right. I'd pick 2 of them and go up on my price.
Okay.
The two that if you lost them, you really wouldn't cry a lot.
Okay. Yeah.
And let's start inching our way into this. And then I'm going to start trying to figure out a way to pay the guys so that I can attract them. I don't know anything about that world other than looking in from the outside and, lies that I've seen on movies, which mean nothing, right? So I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do know it's hard work and it's dangerous work, and it takes a certain breed to get out there in the cold and the heat and do this stuff. So I get that, and I admire that kind of hard work, that work ethic. It's a good thing. So I think I would practice making these guys the heroes in the story.
I agree.
I'd remind them pretty regularly that they're manly men, that they're a rare breed, that they get stuff done that nobody else in America knows how to do and that is willing to do, and occasionally just roll a food truck up and feed them and their kids at the ballpark or something. Occasionally buy them some tickets to the San Antonio basketball team and see, let's do some stuff like that and just celebrate the men and their families a little bit for being the real frontier out there, and that's not money, but it says you have dignity. It says we appreciate you. It says we think you're cool. And when you do that kind of stuff, some of that's better than money. The reason I was asking if you were paying enough is I had a shortage of tech people here on the digital side at one point, and I was making the statement incorrectly for a while several years ago that there's a shortage. It's hard to find good people in this tech X world, this certain position I was trying to fill. And what I figured out was it's not hard to find them at all if you pay them. They line up. And so we weren't paying is why we couldn't find them. And I didn't realize that at the time. I didn't know it, but it was an easy solution for me. Once we figured that out, we went, okay, either if we pay them X, we can't make money on them, so we need to quit whining about not getting them because we can't pay them X. We don't have the money. Or we need to pay them X and shut up and get them in here and get the work done. One of the two. And you could be facing the same thing. I don't know. That's why I brought that up. Are you paying enough? But that's what I would do. So I'd get the business get into your name as soon as possible. I'd raise prices on 2 of my 10 clients to begin the gradual process of adjusting prices to the modern world because they hadn't been raised in years in your situation. And I'd start celebrating the heroes that work for you in ways other than and in addition to their paycheck. And that's my 3 suggestions for your situation. I hope some of that helps you. Good stuff, Guy. Well done, man. I love it. Very, very cool. Hey, folks, remember, better a weary warrior than a quivering critic. This world needs more high-quality leaders. Take courage and lead. I'm Dave Ramsey, your host. Thanks for listening to the EntreLeadership Podcast.